the key to harmony.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Health Focus with Value Life Dieticians, your go-to space for real talk on health and wellness and everything in between. I'm Yolinda Dippenaar, a registered dietitian with Value Life Centurion. Today we are touching onto a topic that is basically integrated in every part of our well-being, gut health. Did you know that your gut is often called your second brain? This is because it's connected to everything else in your body. It's connected to your mood, it's connected to your immune system, it's even connected to how well you are sleeping. Today I'm going to use the analogy of a garden. So think about it. Your body is the garden. And then when you look at the plants and all the flowers in your garden, that is your organs and your system of your body. Now, one thing in this garden is very important for this garden to be beautiful and vibrant, and that is the soil. So our gut is our soil. So if your soil is well taken care of and it is full of nourishment, then your body also is vibrant and you have a good garden. But if the soil is depleted and there's maybe weeds growing, then this is not necessarily a very nice and beautiful garden. And this is when you see little signs of bloating and constipation, even skin problems or a low immune system. And this is all the little weeds that creeps into your garden that we have to look at and have to tend so that we can have a beautiful garden. How do we feed the soil of our garden? So one delicious way to do that is maybe sitting right there on your kitchen counter. And this is sourdough bread. And today we have our special guest, Anina, here from Vinteage Lounge, that is going to teach us all about sourdough and sourdough breads. She's baking the most lovely sourdough breads there at her coffee shop. And she's also going to teach us all about sourdough and gut health.
Thanks for having us, Yolandi. Really appreciate the opportunity.
We are going to talk about why sourdough bread is easier to digest. And we're going to talk a little bit about the fermentation process. And then also, Anina is going to build us a lovely sandwich that is full of simply awesome gut health stuff. So if you are wondering how to take that loaf and pack it full of nutrient-dense and tummy-loving ingredients, stick around. This is going to be both educational as well as yummy. Anina, can you tell us what makes sourdough bread a little bit different than other breads?
Sourdough bread incorporates natural and healthy wild yeast and bacteria, where other breads uses a commercial yeast, and they also use preservatives and fillers to create the commercial breads that we buy from the average shop. Sourdough bread, we start off with a starter, and this is a little one that I fed earlier this afternoon, so it hasn't started growing yet. But the basic ingredients that you have in a sourdough starter is you have flour and water. And this sits for about 7 days to 21 days if you are lucky.
Okay, so it's not like your commercial, 2 to 3 or 4 hours and there you have it. You have to have patience with this one.
This is the main ingredient with sourdough, is that you have to have patience. So basically what you start off with is equal amounts of water and flour, and you put it in a jar, and every day for the next so many days you feed your starter. During that process it actually incorporates wild yeast and healthy bacteria, and that is then the basis of your sourdough bread. Once this is ready and active, and you will see little bubbles in here, you know that your starter is ready to add to your sourdough bread. So then you have this little house party, and by adding it to a bulk amount of flour and water, you then create this like proper beach party. And that is how you then create the sourdough dough. So this is packed with wild yeast, no preservatives, and this gives you the sourdough bread.
All natural.
All natural.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And a lot of people think that sourdough, that it contains probiotics like yogurt. Is that true? And if not, why is it still healthy for your gut?
Okay, so it's not a simple yes or no answer. Yes. During the putting your dough together process, it does contain probiotics. But probiotics are very sensitive to high temperatures. And what happens is during the baking process, the probiotics actually die off.
Okay, yeah.
However, it's not always bad news or all bad news, because you then have prebiotics in your sourdough. And prebiotic is basically a type of fiber that your gut feeds off. And that is like the fertilizer for your gut. So yes and no. No probiotics, but definitely prebiotics.
Like I said, all the food that your probiotics need.
Yes.
So you can feed your little zoo with it.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, how does the fermentation process work?
So basically what happens is your wild yeast and bacteria feeds off the sugars and the starches found in the flour. And that breaks down the gluten in the flour. So it almost pre-digests the flour and it makes it easier for your gut then to digest the actual bread. And with that, it also reduces the phytic acid. Now what phytic acid is, it's almost like an anti-nutrient. It prevents your body from absorbing nutrients into your gut. And by reducing it, you actually give your gut a chance to then absorb more nutrients, including iron, zinc, and magnesium. The other process that happens within the fermentation process is that it reduces it feeds off the sugar, and it gives it then a lower GI quality. So that is good for people with diabetic, that might be
control
diabetic,
the sugars, yes.
and control the sugars, and then also for weight loss because it makes you feel fuller longer. And then the third thing that it does is, because it feeds off the gluten in the flour, it is a lower gluten bread, which makes it a better choice for people with gluten intolerance, or then also for people with IBS. But unfortunately, people with celiac disease need to stay away from gluten altogether,
Yes.
and therefore sourdough won't be a solution.
Okay, so for people with diabetes, irritable bowel syndrome, and gluten sensitivity, it can help definitely for them.
Definitely.
Okay. I heard that lactic acid is a key byproduct of your sourdough bread fermentation process. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Lactic acid gives the tangy flavor to your sourdough, and the longer that your sourdough is in the cold fermentation stage, which could last from 12 hours to 72 hours in your fridge, the more tangy flavor you will actually get in your bread. And it's also it releases more antioxidants, which then protects your cells from cancers, and prevent heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, and many other illnesses. And then the last factor that lactic acid actually incorporates into the bread is it prevents bad bacteria and mold growing in your bread, giving it a longer shelf life.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, now we have all the science and all the benefits of sourdough. Now it's time for the fun. Let's move to our kitchen table.
Health focus is the key to harmony.
Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to make a delicious sandwich, either for school or for the office, using a sourdough bread. So here I already cut the sourdough, and what I want to show you is the bubbles that form within the dough during the fermentation process. So this is a good cell formation and gives you a good structure to your bread.
You baked this one today, no?
Yes, it's fresh out of the oven, nice and soft.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so let's just get a nice slice of the bread here.
You're making me hungry now.
Promise you can have a slice afterwards. Okay, so what we're going to do is add a bit of beetroot hummus that I've made earlier. So beetroot hummus is a nice way of incorporating beetroot into anybody's diet. It improves the blood flow to the brain and giving your brain more oxygen in the process. So that would be good for kids trying to concentrate in class, older generations that suffer a little bit from dementia or memory loss, that type of thing. And it's also packed with antioxidants and fiber.
Okay, yeah, and the chickpeas there, it's
Yes,
full of fiber. Now that's nice.
Okay, so basically we're just going to load that up.
If we are vegan, that can work nicely.
Very nicely.
Yeah, okay. That's nice and pink for our little girls in preschool. Says, oh, I've got a pink.
And color is so important in food because it makes it interesting. It makes it different. It's not just a bland sandwich. It's visually also.
Yeah, you eat with your eyes. No?
Yes,
Yes.
that's right. And then I'm going to add some nice avocado pear to it, or avocado. And just stack that on. Whee!
Okay, that's very good fat with omega-3s in them.
All of that is in
Very
there.
important, no?
And again, a lot of antioxidants, good for your gut. It also helps with the digestive system. Okay, and then lastly, what I'm trying to do is incorporate other flavors to it, so that you've got a bit of texture and different taste to it.
Oh, what do you have there?
So here I've got a bit of dill and
nice.
some fresh coriander. Okay, just to give it a bit of color and extra fiber and vitamin C's, all the good things in your herbs.
Yes, the fresh herbs, that's great.
Fresh herbs.
And I see yellow seeds, that's
Yes.
nice. Or again, your good fats, very important.
Fat, good fiber, good source of minerals.
Yeah.
So here I've got some sunflower seed, I've got some pumpkin seed, black sesame seed, and some flax seed.
Flax seeds for that cholesterol.
Yes.
Okay, great.
And what is nice about that is it also gives you a bit of a crunch.
Yes, of course, the texture of
There
that's
we go.
nice. Look how beautiful that looks.
Yes, and then as a last touch, just to pop that flavor, is a bit of balsamic reduction. And this particular one is a thyme balsamic reduction.
Okay. Oh,
And there we go. And that is a nice, bright, colorful sandwich to pack into your lunchbox and take home.
okay.
And then we just give that a bit of a swirl. Wait, maybe take off the cap and give it a bit of a swirl and just, and there we go.
How delicious does that look? And it's so packed and full of all the ingredients that helps your gut.
That's it. The other interesting thing that we do is during the feeding process of the starter, you also get what we call a discard. And from the discard, we don't throw it away. We actually use it in other products. So this is a savory cracker that you can have on a cheese board.
That's
or just
great.
add a braai with a dip. Also very healthy and so easy to make.
Oh, that's awesome. I think that you have to pop in at the Vinteage Lounge to go and see all these nice things that she's making.
Thank you. Great stuff.
If you're making your own version at home, please tag us or put it in the comments. I would love to see your creation. And then a big thank you for our guest that shared her sourdough wisdom with us. don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you for being with us on Health Focus. Until next time, don't forget to tend to your gardens.